And we are recording. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 98 Words of Nothing. I'm your host, not Crazy Wisdom, 98 Words of Nothing. Crazy Wisdom is my name on Discord, and I'm here with my co host, Rosa, as per usual.
Rosa.
So, we kind of skipped out last week because I didn't really feel like doing an episode, and I just wasn't feeling really 100%, so I just wanted to have a day off. But I would like to share with the audience some personal stuff. I'm back in school now, finishing up this year of college and planning on graduating this May. Um, and I think afterwards I'm going to try to get an internship, if not, just go straight into grad school and try to work for my master's. So that's pretty much up to date with me. And some of the classes I'm actually taking this semester actually have to deal with religion. One of them is Human and the Divine, which is the professor I have in that class I had for African American philosophy. And some of the subjects we're going to talk about is, general religion and spirituality, and then Yoruba religion and spirituality, and then hoodoo and voodoo spirituality. So more from an African lens, which is something I find very fascinating and can't wait to get into. The other class I am taking that is actually just a religion class is a class called Gods and Monsters, which we talk about how a culture defined what monsters were or what was a god, depending on their culture and how how it shaped their worldview or their understanding of reality. And I guess since I am taking that class, I only had one day of class for that day, but I think I would like to talk about the concept of monsters, at least in our faiths. Like I could talk about the witches, and I don't know much about monsters in any form of Jewish mythology, but I'm hoping Rosa could help us with that.
Monsters in Jewish mythology?
Yeah.
I've got a few good examples
All
I
right.
can
Shoot.
list off.
I'm gonna go ahead and look up
One of
witches.
these, one of these is rather well known in Christian mythology as well, on account of it being kind of adopted into Christian mythology.
Yeah.
And it is the figure of Lilith, if you've ever heard of Lilith.
I know about Lilith, the supposed first wife of Adam.
Yes. Um, Although Lilith is not mentioned in the original text of the Hebrew Bible, early Hebrew midrashim, and mind you, midrash is the word meaning explanation. So these are like early textual explanations to fill out the gaps in stories. In an early midrash, Lilith is considered to be the first ever wife of Adam, and one that was made not out of Adam's body, but kind of co-equally with him. If
Mm,
you'll read the book of Genesis, you'll notice that the chapter 1 and the chapter 2 both have a creation story and they don't line up.
right.
This is probably because they were combined from two originally separate stories. In the first story, male and female are created as one, which has been interpreted as creating a kind of single androgynous being who then divides into two. Whereas in the chapter 2 version of the same creation story, Adam is created first. Then, after Adam has walked around for a little while, Eve is made out of his rib.
Right.
The Midrash then seeks to explain why there are two different stories and they have two different sets of details about when the human was created. Lilith is supposed to be the first wife of Adam. And because Lilith was created on an equal basis with Adam, she has a kind of arrogance to think, why should I submit as a married woman to a husband in this manner? Why can't I be equal? And she rebukes and is in turn rebuked. She is sent away. Um, and she becomes the mother of all demons. The Jewish people would have incantations that they would recite, especially the mothers of newborn babies, that they would recite in order to protect from sudden death, because it was said that Lilith would target young mothers and young children with unexplainable illness and disease, and it was because she ate them, literally ate them.
Right.
She is mentioned in the Talmud and in various other of some of the texts. However, other rabbinical authorities claim that she did not exist and that this is a kind of made-up story. The origin of the myth probably comes from Babylon and from the Babylonian exile
Right.
at the time when the Jewish people lived in Babylon and adopted uh, aspects of Babylonian culture. One of the aspects of Babylonian culture they might have adopted were these demons that were known as Lilitu. So, um, because of the existing Babylonian myth, which then got adopted into the Jewish myth, and then kind of, uh, by sideways into Christianity. It's even found in the work of Goethe, Faust. So Lilith has a very long history in Western mythology in any case. I'll also tell you something more recent. In the 1970s, with the rise of second wave feminism, there were Jewish feminist writers that wanted to reframe the story of Lilith. And in reframing it, they kept most of the details, but instead of making Lilith into a mother of all demons, they made her into a kind of symbol of independent femininity. And it's probably for the feminist revival of Lilith, and not for the older version of the story, that worship and praise of Lilith has become rather popular among neo-pagan circles in recent decades.
Right. It actually makes.
However, and you'll kind of have people disputing it because they'll say, look, what you're doing is culturally appropriating from Judaism, but not only culturally appropriating from it, you're also distorting the meaning of the tale, which is arguable, and I understand the argument. On the other hand, I'm pretty sure it was not just feminist authors, but specifically Jewish feminist authors who came up with this alternative reading, and so arguably you could say it's not really appropriation so much as it is reinterpretation. However, it's worth talking about because there are a whole lot of people who just sort of think that Lilith is like the goddess of feminism or something, but they don't know any of the historical background, and I'd rather people know the historical background than not know.
Right. It's
And
best.
I think there's a certain aspect of the Lilith myth which sort of, in a roundabout way, is talking about the older forms of religion that were practiced by the Israelite people, which would have actually had goddesses in them, and I've mentioned this before. So it's possible that Lilith reflects some aspect of that, but it's hard to say based on the older stories that we have. They all seem to be pretty negative.
Right. Oh. Right.
Yep.
That's
Now,
actually.
another very famous example of a monster in Jewish myth, a more recent one, however, is the story of the Golem.
I thought that was a hero.
Well, a hero and a monster. Very interesting kind of ambiguous story that we've got. The most popular of these stories comes from Prague of Old Bohemia, which is now Czechia. And it's said that the Jewish community of Prague, suffering from constant repression and violence on the part of the Christian authorities, pleaded with their rabbi for help. And what their rabbi did was craft a man out of clay. To give the man out of clay a life, the rabbi wrote on its forehead 3 letters, Aleph, Mem, Tov, which are pronounced Emet and mean truth. The idea essentially is that it's the 3 letters on the forehead which give the golem the ability to move and to fight and thus defend the Jewish community of Prague from attacks, from pogroms, right?
Right.
Of course, the story has an echo of the later Frankenstein story, in the sense that the creation of this artificial being that is without a soul, then it goes on to cause unnecessary harm because it does not know what it is doing. And as a result, the rabbi is forced to catch the golem, erase the 3 letters from off of its forehead, at which point the clay falls apart into a great pile, and the golem is no more.
Right. I didn't know that
And
originated in Bohemia. I thought that was I didn't know. I just didn't know that it originated in Bohemia. Bohemia, not Bohemia.
well, that's the most common or most widely known of the golem stories. It might have been rather older.
Right.
Um, there might be some evidence of this sort of thing in the Talmud and medieval texts and so on. But by far the most popular and well-known story of it comes from Prague.
Right.
Yep.
So,
This is also. Oh, I'm just starting to read this here, but this is rather interesting. Golem of Vilna. If you know Vilna, or as it's known today, Vilnius, is I believe Vilna. Hold on, just a sec. Yes, it is in fact the capital and largest city of Lithuania. In any case, Vilna has very long been a center of Jewish scholarship. It's said that the great the great rabbi of Vilna, who was known as the Vilna Gaon, which is a kind of honorary title. It means genius, and he was a pretty smart guy after all. Um, let's see here. One of his students mentioned to his teacher that he should be able to create a live human with his genius, with his skill, right?
right.
And the Gaon said, "In fact, you're correct. There was once a time when I was a child, I began to create a person, but I received a sign from heaven telling me to stop."
Go on.
Um, that's all I've got here. A pretty short anecdote, but in any case, he
Oh,
tried,
so
and he was
so he could
told,
create
"Go
what
on."
he was basically doing God's job.
Well, yeah, and God was like, "Look, okay, chill out, bro. You're a kid. You're a child. Maybe this is biting off more than you can chew." And he was like, "Yeah, sure," and he stopped.
It's very interesting. I really don't hear much of these stories. And I kind
Yep.
of wanted to go back to the Lilith one because when I went to Bible study at the Orthodox Church I used to go to, and I still wish to go back, we were told that the reason why God chose Eve from his rib was to show if he chose from, like, say, the head, she would be above him, thus women rule over men, or below, men rule over women. But from his perspective, because I think it's because we live in America, from his perspective, our church father said, since it's coming from the rib from his side, they're equal. Which I guess does depend on what tradition or church you go to, how they view that story in like the creation of women.
Hmm. I've also read an alternate attempt to explain the reason why in the second chapter of Genesis there's a creation of man and then a creation of woman from man. And the explanation is kind of like this. When God shaped Adam out of the red earth, it was necessary for God to breathe life into Adam, right? So Adam was first kind of like a golem. He was a lump of clay. And only when God breathed life into him, then he became a man, right?
Right.
But you'll notice that when God later takes the rib out of Adam, at no point is it necessary for him to breathe life into the rib. And the particular opinion that I read argues that this is actually a feminist tale, if only from the perspective that, well, God tried twice, so to speak. He had a beta version and then a release version, yeah?
Yeah.
The first time he had to iron out some of the difficulties, he had to add some stuff. The second time around he had a better idea of what he was doing. So he created a passive and then an active.
Right.
And you'll notice later on in the story, Eve is the one who is convinced to eat the fruit and then eats it. But Adam is not convinced, he is just told by Eve. Eve is the active, Adam is passive.
Right. That's an
So, I
interesting
mean,
way to
you
look at
could
it.
read, that's just the thing about these kinds of stories. They're just vague enough that you can come up with a whole lot of different explanations for them, and each one has its own contribution to make, which might contradict with the other ones. This is precisely why I don't think the concept of using such a book as a source of strict laws is very intelligent, but, that's just my opinion.
No, it's totally understandable. Um,
Yeah.
if that's all you have to talk about the monsters within the Jewish faith, I guess I can go on. I would like to. Here, I'm gonna link you this. It's from a Cuban website called Ashe. They usually specialize in stuff. We'll put this in voice chat relating to Santeria, which is a ADR, which means an African diasporic religion, which comes from Ifa, but there's different aspects within Santeria. It's just basically a different branch. And we have these things called Ojugun, which are 8 demons, are just dark aspects of life. And personally, since I am non-dualistic, I don't think these things are evil, but part of the human condition that we label as evil, as they're counterproductive. Because the leader of the Ojugun is a very well-respected Orisha named Eshu. So you have to remember that Eshu leading these, it kind of tells you that this isn't really an evil force. It's just bad to us because it's just counteracts of what we want as progress or what we want to do. So like right here, it says on the right side, there are positive and favorable forces created by Oludamare, which in total are 401 deities. And then the left side, the evil forces are known as Ojogun, or negative spirits, predominate, which are in total of 201. Now, when it comes to 401 and 201, that just means infinite, really. Anytime there's a +1, that means that there is an infinite, possibilities. So, from some of the books I've read, I forgot which book was. I think I returned it on my Kindle. The Ajogun were created by Oludamare as well. They're doing his will. So it's not. I don't. That's how come I don't see them as evil. They're just help make life go forward. So the Ojogun are as follows: death are Iku, who is a trans man, mind you. The disease are Arun. The loss, Ofo. I cannot say this word. Paralyzed. I'm going to say paralyzed because for some reason I just can't say the yeses. Ekba. The problems, Oran. The curse, Epe. The prison, Ewan. And the rest of the evils, that one. It just says that one. I don't know why it says that one. I feel like they were lazy on this one. But each of these are spirits that infect the human condition. And Iku being the most terrifying one, because at least the story I subscribe to is that humans originally on Earth used to live for a very long time, but they couldn't stop growing, and we literally begged God for death, so Iku came about. And it's just something that baffles me, because why would this be a quote-unquote dark spirit? We begged for Iku to come because we didn't like living forever, at least in the material realm. So when I see monsters, I don't think they're any separate from God or any like otherworldly force. I think that's too dualistic, and I oppose dualism. I just see them as, how you say, unnecessary quote unquote evil, just neutral, that is surviving in its own habitat, and that we just have contradictory goals, if you understand.
Mm-hmm. Makes
And then
sense.
you have the Age, which are witches. And I thought the witches, because I know in some books I've read, witchcraft is said to be taboo. We cannot practice it. And there are witch spirits. And given the recent book I'm reading, Aoife and the Forest of Mysteries, it seems to be that in some instances it's okay, but you have to be born with it. So where does this article begin? I'll also put this in voice chat so you can read along. Here.
Yeah,
And there we go.
I see.
All right, so there's types of Iamiage, or which is according to Ifa, spirituality. There are 3 types of Age energy available in the world. They are Age Dudu, black energy, Ajupupa, red energy, and Age Funfun, white energy. So the black energy witches are usually, they're the non-progressive ones. They have mysterious powers. They can only punish or make human beings suffer, like causing their victims delay marriage and fertility, like promotion in work and businesses, causing their victims sickness, etc. The members of Age Dudu are predominantly female. Hardly can you find a male among them. They spread their initiation easily than other types of Yami. And then you have Age Pupa. These witches are most dangerous. They have the power to kill. They drink blood and eat flesh. They punish their victims and give no room for forgiveness, even up to their own children. Their membership in both a mixture of female and male, but with the female membership domination, they don't initiate members easily. Male among the Age Pupa is called Olubi, knife user. They are the ones slaughtering whoever they wish to kill. They are very wicked and unforgivable. By their appearances, you'll know them because they always look rascal and dirty. Their eyes always red and many more. And then you have Age Funfun, which are the white witches. Witches are very good. I don't like how they typed this. I wish they had an editor. So I'm going to say these witches are very good witches. They don't kill, they don't drink blood or eat flesh. They use their energy to bring protection and blessings and prosperity to whomever they love, like children, husband or family or friends. They bring knowledge, power, blessings, protection. It is very difficult to get initiated to them. Yami Osoronga is a Yoruba term of respect and endearment used to describe a woman of African ancestry who is considered to be a woman who wields myriad arcane, creative, biological, spiritual, and cosmic powers. Yamiage are known by many praise names, which include, but are not limited to, Iyami Osoronga, Oron Iyawa, our mothers, Ile, owners, of the sacred birds, Inala, Awon Agbala, God. Okay. Awan Agbalagba, the wise and formidable elders of the night, old and wise ones. So as we can tell, there's 3 different types of witches. And it seems, from the book I've read, you have to be born with this to be basically part of this group. Initiation is not easy, but you're most likely born into this group than to be initiated, from what I've read. So these sacred mothers, okay, this is basically a praise, but I just found this interesting because I've always thought witchcraft, at least when it came to us, our tradition, is just taboo. It turns out it's only taboo if you do if you do pupa or doodoo, black or red witchcraft, and the red witchcraft honestly sounds like shit serial killers do. And the white aspect, again, from what I've read, is you're most likely born into it. Being initiated is very difficult. Yoruba cosmology is heavy in duality and polarities that are constantly seeking balance and unity. Just as there exists polarity of male and female energy, within female energy itself exists polarity that is create and destroy. Many focus on the destructive power of the mothers, giving the impression that they are destructive. However, they are also needed for all creative pursuits. The mothers are believed to possess spiritual force, Ashe, equal superior to that of the deities, Orisha. So we see here that women within Yoruba culture are sometimes can be seen equal superior to that of the Orisha. And I have also took note that they said something about dualities. And again, oh, you're muted. When I say that I'm against dualism, I just don't think that it's as opposite as we say it is. At least from my position in Ifa, I don't view Ifa as dualistic. It's binary, yes, but binary doesn't always necessitate dualism, in my opinion. I really need to do more research on this. And yeah, witchcraft power is like a breeze. You can't see it, but it has effect. A woman can't die possessing it. When she dies, she vomits out the invisible witchcraft and it passes to her daughter. So it's a very matriarchal lineage, too. A person can buy witchcraft power, or may as well inherit it from another person. This mostly depends on the interest or love the witchcraft woman has in the person that is going to possess it. But it's necessary and matter of must to give this witchcraft power to somebody before she should die. Witchcraft brought with money is not given directly. It can be given through foods such as baked beans, okra, kola nuts, porridge, red yam, and many other native foods. When this is taken, the power will start to grow until when the person will start to fly at night. So yeah, this is actually very interesting stuff. One of the most common deeds attributed to witches is interference with reproduction. Impotence is common among males and is the prevalent idea that this is the work of witches. A witch is capable of taking the penis of a man and having intercourse, using it with the man's wife or some other woman. The witch will then return to the man's penis, but it will be altered in some way and may not be able to function. So witches were often... Okay, so it's very clear that witches are often explained infertility. Because during the time where, people didn't live that long, you needed a lot of children, especially if you're in agriculture work. So to this society, witches are responsible for, say, like, erectile dysfunction, or men having like narrow urethras, basically Hank Hill syndrome and all that shit, and women just not being able to bear any children. And this is, of course, is where you go to an owl, a babalao or mamalao, offer proper sacrifice, and hopefully, say like Oshun, who is the Orisha of fertility, will help you bear a child. In traditional life, Iame Osoronga is the foundation of everything. Yoruba cosmology is heavy on pluralities that are constantly seeking balance and unity. Just as there exists plurality of male and female energy within female energy. Okay, I already read this. Why is it? Whatever. In Yoruba tradition, women are thought to be as indispensable to men as Oshun was to the 16 male Orisha or Odu at the time of creation. However, men have an ambivalent attitude towards women. It is felt that women of any age are potential Aje who possesses Aye, the bird power. The symbolism of the bird is ubiquitous. In Yoruba ritual and art, the crown of the Oba is adorned with birds. Oba means king, by the way. The staff of Osanyan, as well as a babalao, and the calabash, which holds the bird, and other magical ingredients, Odu pot or Igbadu, has birds carved on the surface. The mothers, also known as Ilae, owners of the bird, are said to send out their birds or turn into birds themselves at night. This is a reference to the ability of the Yami to astral travel. It is during astral travel that they become silently to eat your intestines. The fear of this extraordinary power has caused men to appease women as they do our mothers. So in other words, respect women or they'll fucking kill you. This is so fucking amazing. So Rosa, if I disrespect you, will you kill me? Or... Guess not. But yeah, I just found that interesting. Again, what brought this topic up is because I'm taking... Huh?
It happened to be that my mic was muted for that moment, but I said, only if you absolutely insisted on it.
Oh, I don't know how to absolutely insist on anything, but okay.
Oh, of course.
But yeah, what brought this up, dear listener, is because I'm taking a class on religion called Gods and Monsters. And I think I will try to... And we might come back with this. This is the beginning of the year, and I might come back to this at the end of the year, and we can do another episode on this and I can say what I've learned. And I actually look forward to it. I like the professor. I met him last semester, He knows a lot about different religions, and we kind of hit it off, and I end up signing up for his class. And I'm also looking forward to my other class with my other professor on the human and divine, and especially when we get to the hoodoo and voodoo section, because I know I seem really stupid on Yoruba right now because I don't prepare for any of these episodes. I say, okay, Rosa, we're going to prepare for the next one. We never do. But
Yeah.
I do plan on learning more about hoodoo and voodoo when we get to that section. I can't wait to get there. But yeah, and
Absolutely.
yeah. So I would also like to end this here. It's 30 minutes. I'm very tired. I had to get up early today and all that. So I know this was a more shorter episode, and I hope the viewer or listener is appreciative of that, because I know they don't want to sit through like a 50 or 40-minute episode. So I guess thanks for coming by. If there's anything you want to say, Rosa?
No, just it's been good talking. Thanks very much.
Yeah, I hope you learned a lot today. And we will eventually come back on this, probably by the end of the year, which will be not like my end of the school year, meaning most likely around May. We may come back to this around May. But yeah, I hope everyone has a good day. Like the video if you like it, dislike if you dislike it. Make sure you share the video, subscribe, and hit the bell notification. And this is 98 Words of Nothing, signing off.